The title of my talk today is this: Cracked Wide Open. And I certainly feel, as a father, that I have done just that. I have cracked wide open in these 4 years since Nora has passed, and in these 4 years since we have watched Will make his way through college. Because, having lost a child, anyone in the room who has had that happen to them, it's unexplainable. But having lost your twin, I can only imagine what my son has gone through for 4 years. So I would say our whole family has been cracked wide open. But I thought about this and I thought, well, that's due to one circumstance, but what are other things that have cracked me wide open? Well, it's interesting because I go to the birth of my children. Because up to that point, I was pretty much a self-involved actor. Anybody relate to that? The world revolved around me and my career as an actor, and I was just starting to become a minister. And then I was in the operating room. How many men here were there when their children came out? Great. Yeah. There's just something about that. The women are like, yeah, I was there. But you're going through your own stuff. So the father, standing there. For me, I have a video of the kids being birthed. Very tasteful. But a video. But the funny part about the video is it's extraordinarily shaky, almost like we were having an earthquake. So I'm like watching and I'm filming it, so all you see is this bouncing camera of the children being born. But there's just something about that moment when you realize you're a father. There's something about that cracks you wide open. Because suddenly, there's someone else in this world that will depend on you, that will need you, that is there because you put them there. And boy, as a gay man, I can tell you, we put them there on purpose, and it took a lot to get them there. So there's that moment where your heart is just cracked wide open. And then I think about, 19 years later, sitting there with Nora in the hospital as she's making her transition, and being cracked wide open all over again. And everything that came between, and everything that's come till now. So today's talk is about the concept of how do we go through life allowing ourselves to be cracked open. Because that's what I want to talk about today. Our willingness to be open. Our willingness to take the journey. We met someone on Friday night, a couple who have a child, and we were explaining about, because whenever people ask us now, do you have children? We go, yes, we always say 2. And like, oh, what are they doing? And so we always do now share it. We say, well, our daughter transitioned a few years ago in a car accident. And the wife was so impacted by this, tears, and I know it was personal. It was like, I can't even fathom what would happen if that were my child. And she was saying to us, I can't understand. How can you keep going? How do you go on? And I said to her, what's the alternative? And I have a son who's also moving on. But it really made me think. I was like, I cracked wide open, and then I kept taking steps from within the openness of feeling life and what it really means to experience your feelings. Because frankly, I don't hide from my grief. I don't hide from my sorrow. Today's a difficult day for me, and yet a celebratory day for me. So it's so freaking confusing at times. It's like, I'm crying, and now I'm laughing. I'm crying, I'm laughing. And now I'm doing them both. I've suddenly become Patti LuPone. I can cry and laugh at the same time. Broadway reference? We're going to Broadway today. We're flying to New York to see 5 Broadway shows in 4 days. That was my plan. That's our Father's Day gift to ourselves. So it's walking through life, being wide open and willing to feel what is yours to feel. And you know what I call that? Fun. That's the fun life needs to be. Because for me, fun is not anything unless it's real and authentic. Fun is not fun if I'm using it to escape. Fun to me is fun because I'm fully present in all of my glory. I can be in the middle of the most amazingly fun, party like last night, and something will trigger something about Nora, and there will be a moment of grief. And that can happen at the same time. But we must be willing. We must be willing to feel. Because we put a lot of things in the way, don't we, of giving ourselves permission to feel. I'm in the middle of teaching BODS. We're on day 19 today. And one of the things we're really looking at is, what are we using? What behaviors are we using to stop us from feeling? What can I do? Maybe I can drink enough to not feel anymore. Maybe I can eat my fears away. Maybe I can shop my fears away. I can get rid of my feelings by paying attention to my work so much that I'm a workaholic. I'm not pointing over here for anybody specific. There's so many things we can do to get in the way of feeling what is ours to feel. And to me, that is fun. So I asked myself this question, which is, what did it mean to me to be a father? And I decided I wanted to get some answers from the audience. So, Stan, you knew I was going to ask you. Stand up for 1 second. So if you could, you get a microphone. What does it mean to you to be a father?
Well, I go back to when you asked how many of us were in the room, and to me that was like the most, up to that point, the most spiritual moment in my life. I felt that presence like I never had before, watching her take her first breath and knowing, hey, look at what we did, and that I am responsible for this being for the next foreseeable future. I mean, it was a huge responsibility, but at the same time, it was such a gratifying pleasure.
Yeah.
And it, there's been heartbreaks and disappointments and joyousness over the years, and I mean, it's like you said, it's the full spectrum of experience. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go over here. Let's see, who do we want? Mr. Draper. Yeah. See, if you look away from me, folks, that's when I call on you. I walked over and Doug went, So, and since your daughter's right here, you can let her know. What does it mean to be a father?
Thank you so much for.
Real close to your mouth.
Being a father started when Swan's brother was born, and I had a video camera, just as you were talking about. And then Swan came along, and then just watching these little creatures develop and grow into the beautiful young woman that's sitting beside me, and the handsome young man that's waiting at our home to celebrate Father's Day.
Tell him he could have been here.
Yeah, he could have been here, but
he chose.
And both of my children have quite different paths, and it's just wonderful experiencing both. And watching, it was wonderful to watch them grow up, and it's wonderful to watch them grow out once they're up.
Oh, I love that. Grow out once they're up. Okay, I'm going to do one more. And since you're sitting here with yours, stand up. Tell everybody who you are.
Russ.
You can have this.
Thanks. Russell.
Okay, Russell, so what's it like being a father? What does it mean to you to be a father?
Well, for me, it means there's something way more important than me in the world. So I have 3, and it's my youngest. She's 17, and we're definitely struggling with the empty nest scenario. So that's the hardest part. I mean, the other 2 are grown and doing really well, and it's maybe because she's the youngest, it's the hardest.
Well, the hardest part of love is letting go.
Yeah, well, I'm not there yet.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love hearing fatherly wisdom. And it's true. The hardest part of love is letting go. To me, what it means to be a father is that I've actually learned more about who I am. My 2 children have taught me a lot. Certainly Nora, while she was here, called me on everything. Especially as a minister, she really saw me as her spiritual director. You know, when the night she passed away, in her car, right in front of her was was our affirmation card that month. You know, that she was always very careful. But if I ever strayed off of what I would teach up here, she'd be like, Dad, didn't you say this? Because that's not how you're acting. Yeah. And Will does the same thing, only not as much. So the hardest part of love is the letting go. And I'd like to discuss today, or give you a suggestion today. It's not letting go of something out there. I'd like to ask you in these last few days of Fun Month to let go. Let go of yourself. Let go of your inhibitions. Let go of your yeah buts. Let go of all your critical thinking and your judgment. And let go. Let it go. Let your authentic self out. Because what it is there's a spark of creation in you, which is really where this all goes back to, that is waiting for you to unleash it. And that's for the women and the men. That's for all of us. So today I'd like us to really consider letting go of our true nature. Just letting it go, letting it happen. So this quote, anything I cannot transform into something marvelous, I let go. So this is your opportunity to just think for a minute. What are you holding on to that is not yours to hold on to anymore? Because I love this quote, and I picked this. He's actually jumping off of a mountain. I picked this because, well, it looked like me, and because, well, I had hair like that at some point. But I love the idea that anything I cannot turn into good in my life needs to go. It needs to get out of here. Because if I'm going to let go and be my most, right, Aaron, my most audacious, selfless, crazy self, I need to let go of all those things that tether me to something that I don't want to be tethered to. So today on Father's Day is a great day to celebrate that. To celebrate that creative spark inside of you that is ready to just burst out. How many of you right now have a sense that there's something inside of you just waiting to burst out? How many of you feel like you've already done your bursting? Okay? No. There is still more burst to be appreciated. At any time, at any age, Joe Jordan, which hand did you raise? Are you ready? Did you feel that thing that's ready to burst out? Yeah. Okay, and she's 94. We found out today because I thought it was 92, and she corrected me. She said, and I've been aging her. I've always gone to her older age. Every time I've known her, I always say she's like a year older, and somehow I got lost. So she's 95, and so Deepak Chopra wrote this. In the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself. So I know that we've all lost things in our lives. We've lost people. We've lost things, occupations, careers. We've lost friendships. So many things we can say we've lost. But each one of them is a tool, is a key to unlocking something about yourself. Everything in your life is a key to unlocking something about yourself, because how you relate to something, no matter what it is, shows you who you are, what you believe. I look at when Will graduated high school, and the day we showed up for his high school graduation, and yes, I am sharing this if you're watching. We showed up for his high school graduation, and he waited till that moment to say to Kevin and I, just so you know, there is a chance I'm not graduating. And we were like, I'm sorry, what? He said, I think I failed math. I'm probably going to have to go to summer school, but what they've told me is they're not going to let me know until they either do or do not call my name. Chaminade High School, Catholics, what can we say? It's like, we're going to teach you a lesson, because I think that's what happened. So we're just sitting there, we're like, this is fun. So if we get to the end and he hasn't graduated, what do? We're just like, well, I guess we take him to summer school. But they called his name, and he graduated. You've never heard parents scream so loud for a senior graduating high school. And he graduated, and the funnier part is he just graduated college. That was not the thing that happened on his graduation. In fact, he graduated on the dean's list, and he got a B in math, which he waited till the very last semester to take. because he had to take one math course. And he took algebra, correct? Algebra, not calculus. Yeah, algebra. I don't know why he didn't take statistics, but he took algebra. And he got a B. And I was like, Will, can you just tell me what the difference is between senior year of college and senior year of high school? And he went, it's amazing how well you do when you pay attention. And I was like, well, that is a very good lesson for the future, isn't it? But it was also a good lesson for me. When he said it, I went, that's something I need to pay attention to too. So what do we pay attention to? So today, I want to ask you to pay attention to what you need to let go of in order to let go of who you are, in order to have the fun of being Mark Stewart. Not the idea of Mark Stewart that you've put in place, not the idea of Carolyn Clemens that you have of who you are, but that authentic thing that maybe is telling you something completely different, wild, enthusiastic, crazy. So I didn't want to close my talk out today without talking about my father a little bit. My father was a very odd man. He was a policeman. He was very sensitive in a lot of ways, but he was very gruff in most ways, and very uninterested in feelings. You didn't have a feelings talk with my father, which was very challenging for him, if you've read my blog. It's challenging for him because he had 4 boys, but one of them was really weighing heavy on the feminine side of the scale in terms of feelings. I had feelings, and you all needed to know. And not only that, not only did you need to know I had feelings, but we needed to discuss this about my feelings. And my father's face was always just bewildered when I'd go into these. And then this happened, and this happened. He's like, talk to your mother. It was always talk to your mother. And my mother wasn't really the big, huggy, feely, kissy woman either. She was a fashion model, and she was gorgeous. And she was just like, don't get me wet. Don't get me wrinkled. So, that was the house I grew up in. But there was something my father always said, and we all joke about it, all the boys now joke about it when we talk. At the end of every conversation, which was very short most of the times, it was like, hey, how are you? I'm good. How you doing? Good? So here's what's happening in my life. Good. Okay, Dad, I guess we've caught up. Okay, and then he says, keep in touch. Every conversation ended with, keep in touch, as if we weren't going to. But he probably wasn't going to. He's like, you keep in touch with me. And I was thinking about that this morning as I was putting this talk together, and I thought, Dad, I am keeping in touch. I'm keeping in touch with who I am. I'm keeping in touch with who you are. And as Sherry said, I'm keeping in touch with the evolution of our father-son relationship, which doesn't end just because somebody passes. And while I understand the gruff, kind of tough exterior this man had, I also realized that he did send me a letter at one point in my life reminding me that how much he loved me and how proud he was of me and how sad it was to him that he couldn't have the life I had. Because he was a singer and an actor, and he always wanted that. But from the time he turned 20, he turned away from all that and had a family, joined the police force, and closed it all down, just shut it all down. And even when he would come and see me on Broadway and he would watch me perform, he couldn't say much. He just couldn't say much. He'd just be like, good. It's like, you're starring in a Broadway show, you have this huge dressing room, and you get a, good. I enjoyed it. You want like, oh my God! But then again, that's the two of us. I'm like, what did you think? Good. And now I'm okay with that. And I keep in touch. But more importantly, I'm keeping in touch with myself, my feelings, my emotions. And I don't need the world to work my feelings out with me. I just need to be open to this infinite field of quantum love and allow it to take me wherever it wants to take me. So on this Father's Day, I get to remember Nora. I get to deal with Will and his life as it's bursting forth. And I get to remember my father reminding me, and therefore reminding all of you, to Keep in touch with what's important in your life and let go of what isn't. Keep in touch with who you are and let go of who you aren't. Keep in touch with what this universe really means and how it works, and let go of this relative world that keeps telling us it's something else. So keep in touch with who you truly are. And then, when you touch it, when you're there, let her rip. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.